Ladies and gentlemen, the council has reconvened. It's time to bring order back to the gaming community. Welcome back. It is me, Traumatized Ewok, and I'm joined, as always, by the legendary old Man Junky.
Yo, yo, yo.
And the unforgettable Volio.
Yeah, we're back.
How are we doing, gents? How have we been?
Yeah, not bad. That was a long 2 weeks, that. I've gone bald. Not time, like...
These council chambers have got like an inch thick dust here. Let's get the maid in.
I was having an aspirin attack cleaning out the back. It's crazy. Yeah, chat. Sorry. So used to saying chat every time we talk to a camera. But folks, we do realise it has been a while. It was meant to be a very short hiatus whilst life got a little bit busy. It went on a bit long. We do apologise. But we're back. And with a slight change to the format. Slightly new look, as you may be seeing if you're watching on YouTube or on the verticals. And a slightly different schedule. We're going to be recording once a month rather than every 2 weeks to give us a little bit of time to kind of get our head around what's going on, all the latest news, get to grips from the games that we've been playing, and also puts less pressure on us going forward, and we'll be able to get these out without having to take 6-month breaks.
yeah, definitely. That'll help. Also allows things to happen, I think, which is the other big thing as well. Because as much as gaming news can happen at a rapid pace during peak period, it's got this really big low in the middle somewhere, and nothing seems to happen. A lot of dust bunnies. So
I mean, this past year has been like a roller coaster, but I don't think this is going to be. I think it'll be back to business as usual once certain businesses are finished.
Yes. A big one that we'll come on to a little bit later on, I think, yeah. But before we get on to like big stuff, what have we all been playing the last 6 months?
Would it surprise you if I said Solasta? Still, I'm sorry, I'm addicted. Got to get me D&D fixed somewhere. Really got into sim racing a lot, like the F1, Assetto Corsa, upgrading my rig slightly. Druid, no help at all when it comes to that. You know who you know. But yeah, and a certain Mr. Griffiths as well has been down my ear about buying certain wheels and things. So been getting into that. Bit of COD, golded all my guns. So happy with that. And then season 2 dropped and then golded them. And yeah.
Nice.
I played a lot of COD. So I basically, as you know, I'm like massive Destiny fan. And as you know, Destiny sort of went like it went massively teared to the point where like I never played the last season before Lightfall, and then before Lightfall came out, I cancelled my pre-order altogether because I just thought, this is going to be a bit of a flop.
Hang on, is this Destiny Dan telling us?
We'll get to it. So I swapped one vice for another. So I swapped Destiny out for Modern Warfare, and I think by January I'd played 96 hours of Modern Warfare to the point I'd got polyatomic on all my weapons.
All right, show off.
I was like level 250 prestige for the first time in my life, and I was just like, yeah, it was just insane. When Warzone came out, or Resurgence came out, I think I had like 10 wins. I had a positive KD in Warzone. I was like, who am I?
You liar.
and then I sort of dropped off a little bit, and then season 2 came out, and the world sort of corrected itself, and now I'm back down to minus like 76 KD.
There we go. Balance is resumed.
And it's got to the point where like once I'd done everything, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. And like a lot of the player base has dropped off, especially in Warzone, and it was just like super sweaty again. I was like, what am I going to do? So I might have started playing Destiny again this week.
Well, to be fair, I think you'd had a long enough hiatus from that. It's acceptable.
Yeah. So I bought Lightfall because I got it for 20 quid. But I haven't just been playing Destiny. I've actually played Resident Evil 4, completed that. I've actually completed a game, which is a big one for me. Halfway through Dead Space remake.
Nice.
I need to go back to that. I'm 3/4 of the way through Marvel's Midnight Suns, which is brilliant. It's just one of those games that, like, you can chip away at, and that's it. That's all I've been playing, really. Probably there's more stuff, but nothing like just dabbling. I've done a lot of dabbling. I'm sure you are the same with Game Pass. Something comes out like Atomic Heart, and you'll play for an hour and go, "Oh, I definitely got to play this," and then never play it again.
Yeah.
Game Pass, man, like cloud gaming, so many titles on there. I've just gone, I can't be bothered downloading the whole thing. I'll just try an hour of it on the stream, jump on, do a quick hour. Not for me. I won't download that. Godsend. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So, like, what for me, like the last 6 months, like most of the stuff that I've been playing has actually been on stream. So I've noticed recently that I'm not playing that much outside of stream, and I need to correct that. I need to start getting like the me game time back.
Haven't you been given a warning by certain social media platforms for waving your wand around in public?
I have, yeah. So I've completed Hogwarts Legacy, 100% across the board. Apart from it's telling me that I'm missing one page, but it's actually a glitch on the collectibles. So that's pissed me off. So
good old EA.
It's like I know where the page is, and it was like, right, I went through there and I went onto a YouTube guide and everything to make sure I hadn't missed anything, and it told me I had everything from this section, and I'm like, I obviously am, but anyway, but I played that week. That was incredible. I really enjoyed that. Game of the year contender for me. I really enjoyed it. I put about, including getting all the collectibles, I put about 75 hours into that.
I've probably put about 10 or 12 at the moment, to be fair.
And
then, same for me, for about 15, 10, 12, 15, something like that.
Yeah. Through Last of Us 1 and 2 on stream. My word. I just by the end of number 2, I wasn't ready to let go of the whole Last of Us like franchise and universe, so I was so happy when the TV show dropped.
Oh yeah.
And God of War, the first God of War, I finally got round to playing it. I picked it up about 4 years ago, for like £8 on PlayStation, and it stood in my library until like earlier this year, and I was like, right, gotta play it. And I've been looking for, because obviously Starfield's coming out later in the year, and I can't wait for that. I think I'm gonna love it. So I've been looking for like a bit of a space adventurer type freelancer. I don't know if you remember Freelancer on the PC many moons ago. That kind of vibe. That I've been looking for a game with that kind of vibe, and I found a brilliant game being made by one dev called Spaceborne 2 on Steam, which is phenomenal. And I may have been bitten by the Star Citizen bug. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it that much because no one could log in for the last 2 weeks.
Out of the frying pan, into the fire.
Yeah, but yeah, I am trying to reclaim the playing games away from stream time, though, definitely. Playing it so it's just me, just enjoying the game, and it's great playing the games with the community, obviously, and enjoying that experience with the community. It's phenomenal, but we need that little bit of time to ourselves, don't we? Just
Totally, man, totally. Yeah. So, gentlemen, we've obviously been trying to fill our time with best we could, and the world's moved on. When we last left off, we left off on a big talking point, and that was that a certain Microsoft had made the purchase of Activision, and there was all these rumors of, what will happen with the future of COD. Will we see World of Warcraft ever come to the console? And many a thing. How much have we progressed into the knowledge now of what the future looks like in this partnership?
I don't know if we have. It feels like this should. It feels like it sounds cliche, but it just feels like it's been 84 years. Feels like this
time later.
It feels like this deal has been going through since the dawn of time.
Yeah, it's crazy. So much has happened, yet so little has happened. Actually, really, when you look at it,
And like one of the most interesting parts for me has been like the insights into industry itself. Like all these revelations that have been coming out, it's like you're sitting there like,
yeah,
and like the fanboys have been going crazy every time you go on Twitter. There's like it's like open warfare. There's just like two tribes just going at it all the time.
yeah.
It's just like, wow, man.
There seems to be an awful lot of politics involved in it, isn't it? It's not just this merger. Or this acquisition. I don't know why they're calling it a merger, because it's an acquisition. But every time it's reported on, it's like it's a merger, just because of the size of the companies. When actually it isn't. It's Microsoft acquiring a publisher, and it's been very interesting to see the way certain third parties have approached it. Kind of like almost like they're lying on their back belly up, saying, "Look how weak and vulnerable we are." When in actual fact they're not. So like Sony, you know, they've really tried to play a big card in this, and I think it's showing now that actually it was the wrong card to play, because now they're being looked at themselves. But they've tried to kind of make out like this whole acquisition will destroy them. Like if they were to lose Call of Duty, for example, they'd no longer function as a business, and you're kind of thinking, surely Sony's business plan this whole time wasn't to hold on to a title that they don't even publish.
I mean that whole argument itself, just like as we were talking about The Last of Us before, just feels benign. It's just like I feel sorry for Naughty Dog, because imagine how it feels to turn around when your CEO turns around and goes, "We cannot survive without COD," and you got The Last of Us, one of the best-selling games of all time. Like, well, fuck me.
Yeah,
you got Naughty Dog, you got Santa Monica Studios churning out like these AAA titles which sell the consoles for you.
well, you look at it, right? You name games that have been bundled with the consoles, especially the PlayStation over the last 5 years, and it's either a AAA sports title released by EA, or it's either Naughty Dog or Santa Monica Studio that are having to deliberately develop these AAA Sony only titles to sell the consoles. I mean, don't get me wrong. You package your PlayStation by itself, it's going to sell. Bang it with a game, and it's going to sell more.
Yeah,
it's bizarre to think that so much time has passed, yet so little has progressed.
It's absolutely just crazy. It's absolute nonsense. Jim Ryan needs to go. Jim Ryan is the Don Matrick of Sony.
they can just buy a PlayStation.
People sit there who are like, who the hell was Don Matrick? Yeah, look it up.
Google it. But
or Bing it, or whatever you want.
it just, the whole thing just feels like, as Junky says, it feels so disrespectful to Naughty Dog, to Santa Monica, to Guerrilla, you know, and to stand there and say that actually, if we lose this title that's made by a third party publisher, that we're never guaranteed the rights to, because, well, you could fall out with them and they could decide not to put it on your platform. To say that would destroy your business and make you unable to compete, it was just a wild claim. And I think, as Junky says, Jim Ryan, I think he's actually fighting for his job. I think that's why he's going so hard at it. I think that's why he's been kind of flying back and forth to Europe and trying to kind of schmooze the European Commission and the CMA and all of that, trying to make out that Sony are so weak and vulnerable, when actually, as it turns out, they've been using their market position to further their dominance over the last 10, 15 years with backhanded deals and, you know...
Well, that's what's being looked into now, isn't it? They're talking about America, they're talking about the Pacific Indigo Trade Treaty, and how it might be a monopolization of the Japanese market, and that might be affecting every single consumer of American games and developers. Yeah. And it's just like, what have you done here, Jim?
It's been long said now. If you want like a decent JRPG or something like that, or like all the Final Fantasy titles, you're having to go to Sony to play them. That relationship was never there with Microsoft, so it's no surprise the the Microsoft's finally over it all.
Yeah, and the funny thing also, once the couple of US senators actually started bringing this whole, Indo-Pacific kind of trade deal, which included digital content, up, within days, the Japanese Commission okayed the deal.
Yeah. I think it's easy for like outside agencies such as like the politicians and all that to look and go, Microsoft massive, Sony small little TV camera video player developer, and then in terms of like Microsoft, the gaming corporation, they're like here. Then you got Sony. Well, you haven't. You got Tencent, Sony, Steam, everything.
Yeah.
Nintendo, Microsoft, and then the other people that were kicking off with Google. Microsoft sort of ended our cloud streaming service, Stadia. No, you ended your cloud streaming service, Stadia.
That had to make me laugh.
You
ended
your cloud streaming server, Stadia, because it was fucking shit. There was no thought put into it. You didn't bring it out as like a beta. You just launched it straight away, and it was like, yeah, it's a streaming service. Oh, but you have to buy the game. £50 all the games to use the streaming service. Who the hell is buying a cloud game, a streaming service that can barely handle its own service?
When you look at it, and it was saying like you'll be able to play Destiny, for example, on it, and you're like, really, am I going to be able to pull enough data down there where a really high demanding game on a streaming service already like that, it was bound to fail? And I'm not being funny, and I appreciate another competitor in the market, because maybe that's what this whole market needs right now, someone different other than Sony, Microsoft and Nintendo playing the three-way party that it's been for X amount of years now. Something to really shake them up and keep them on the toes. And yes, I know, PC Master Race, Steam, I get it. Right? But ultimately, it is one of them. However, you look at it and you go, there was something there. Okay. And then we move back to Sony trying to integrate a streaming service into all of their tellies, where they were saying that you just need a PlayStation pad, you'd be able to connect it up to the telly. Then we heard whispers that Microsoft were going to do it. So, and we've, as I mentioned earlier in the show, streaming service that you can get through Game Pass, where you can stream the games on the titles for an hour or so, just to give them a try, see what you like. I mean, I only usually play about an hour. You can go for longer. I'm not saying streaming's dead. I'm just saying Google got it wrong.
Oh, they definitely got it wrong.
Massively. And a big problem with Google with Stadia was lack of games. It was very, very limited in terms of what they had available. You look at you think of the big games that they had. I can only think of two: Red Dead and Destiny. I can't think of any other big games that they had on there.
Well, to go back to someone as well about games that are on. Remember they had at the PC Game Show, they had a big announcement that Baldur's Gate was going to be exclusive to Stadia, and everyone was like, "What?" And then obviously Stadia's fell apart, and everyone was like, "Well, what's going to happen to Baldur's Gate?" And obviously Baldur's Gate's now on PC, which it was always going to be. And then now Baldur's Gate is console exclusive, timed exclusive to Sony. And then they just went, Baldur's Gate coming to Sony, no plans for Xbox. And it was like a big stink, everyone kicking off, going, what the hell's going on? And then they had to come out and go, we are developing for Xbox as well. We just didn't have the time to get it out on the release date. And everyone's just like, well, why didn't you say that in the first place? Why launch on a competitor's platform? You know you're going to incite the angry mob straight away. The way
my pitchfork and torch already lit, mate. Don't you worry about that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm never playing Baldur's Gate on Xbox when it comes out on Xbox because it just won't feel that great. It's the kind of game that needs to be on a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
But I still like the bloody option. And I think it could have been communicated better. And I still think this is one of those tinfoil hats on here. Sony deals.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, the reason it wasn't announced, I'd put money on it being that Sony basically said you can't say that it's coming to anybody else yet, as part of like their deal with the dev. You remember No Man's Sky?
Nemansky.
When it was like, yo, it's coming out. It's PlayStation exclusive, and basically, they were asked at an interview, will it make its way to other consoles? And the Sony rep who was present shut the interview down. He was like, well, yeah, they're not allowed to say it then. They weren't allowed to say it, so they wouldn't have announced it for Xbox simply because it would have been right. Here's the deal.
It's like when they said, you'll only ever be able to play Last of Us on PlayStation or God of War on PlayStation. Funny now, I can get them on Steam.
Mm-hmm. I just wish they'd come on Steam a bit quicker.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get that. Me too. My wish list is growing.
For the players,
that plays into
after a time.
Yeah, I think that plays into like how Sony have got it all wrong though, in the sense of this whole how they've been challenging the whole Activision Blizzard Xbox acquisition and all that. Is every point that they've made could be countered with, well, manage your games better.
Yeah,
you're saying
literally.
that Xbox has PC and Xbox. Well, you've got access to PC. You can release your games on PC, and I guarantee you, anybody who wants to buy it on PC probably wouldn't be buying a PlayStation anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got this whole market that you could go to, but it doesn't suit their narrative.
So Sony have already laid their cards bare anyway. Remember last year when they heavily invested in Epic?
Yeah.
So Microsoft made friends with Steam again, and obviously we're seeing everything went over back to Steam. And like PlayStation have no choice but to put everything on Steam because Steam is the reigning PC dominant thing. But I think they're definitely on Epic's side of that coin. Everyone seems to be drawing these like little boardroom battle lines. Everyone seems to be making these little side deals here and there.
Yeah.
And I suppose I'll give PlayStation a slight bit of devil's advocate. What we learned about Redfall, about them originally, that was a bit of a slip.
Mate, nice segue. I was about to.
Well, before we go on to Redfall indefinitely, but when he turned around last week and said they were actually making a PlayStation port of Redfall before they were acquired by Microsoft, I was like, "Ooh, that's a bit naughty. That's a bit naughty, like."
So yeah, Redfall, that Left 4 Dead vampire shooter in a town. Looked interesting. Got the whole 3G magic, the old E3 magic, which that's a whole other point we'll get to in a minute. Where the hell's E3 gone? But
same place as my hair.
E3 didn't get the memorable back live, boys. That was the problem.
Redfall.
Sure, there's a fourth window meant for E3 somewhere. But yeah, Redfall, man. So looking forward to it, and then it's like, guess what? You can have all this top of the line console power for 30 frames a second. What the hell?
The thing there is all of the bits that they've shown up to now have been 60 FPS.
Yeah.
All of the gameplay they've shown, all of the
pre-alpha build. You're forgetting the tiny little pre-alpha build right in the corner.
But it does make you think: have they just taken a vertical slice of the game and then ramped up the, up the
in-game engine?
Yeah,
probably 4K as well.
But yeah, I mean, I saw a tweet from Destin from IGN earlier today, and it just I mean, it's like, why bother with co-op and loot boxes with it as well? You may as well just patch them in later.
Oh no!
Yeah, you can wander around this town. That's it. That's all you can do. We'll patch in the vampires later and the loot they drop, and because they've already pissed people off by saying that you've got to be persistently online even if you want to play it in single player.
Yeah, so they're meant to be like, let's get things to patch out. So they're patching out the always online. They're patching out the cross story progression. So like eventually you can play co-op and not have to repeat the same missions twice because your friend has to repeat his mission.
Yeah,
that's coming at a later date. 60 FPS coming at a later date, and it's just delay it.
Yeah,
big industry leaders are saying just fucking delay it.
You two, I'm gonna ask you a question now. The pair of you, massive Left 4 Dead fans. Ewok, you were playing with the Ewoks not so long ago on that other zombie shootery style one that came out very similar to Left 4 Dead. I can't even remember that one, Back 4 Blood. This seemed like it was going to be right up your alley. How off put from this now are you?
In terms of will I play it? I mean, if it launches, I'll probably dabble in it. But it's annoying that it's coming out at 3 weeks before it's due to release. They're going, oh, by the way.
Saving grace is that word Game Pass again. That's bailed it out now. I think
I think that's the only reason it's coming out.
So for me, it's like
Game Pass that they'd be delaying it.
For me, it's like the other end of the spectrum. Like when I saw it was not like Left 4 Dead, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm interested. And then I saw the IGN demo, and I was like, okay, I'm not that interested. And then I've recently seen another creators demo, and it just looks so much better than like a lot of people have been saying on Twitter. Why did IGN choose to go with this sort of like vertical slice that looks so wooden and so like every other cardboard cutout of games? From what I've seen of it, it does actually look really good. Does really look really fun. It does look like it's got that arcane, special sauce, that Far Cry magic type thing. It's going to do something a bit different, maybe. And people have been saying who played it, it might reinvent that genre, like radio towers and stuff like that, and the cookie cutter Far Cry formula we've seen for the past 10 years, and might do something different that like people will jump in on. So I was excited for that. And then obviously when it came out, it was 30 frames per second. I was like, I don't think I can play something in 30. That might sound snobbish. I don't think I can play 30 frames per second. So I'll probably play it, but on PC. But I would not be that bothered if it got delayed, because let's face it, what we got, Jedi Fallen Order comes out on the 28th of April.
Yeah.
Diablo 4, come on, man. There's nothing else on the horizon but that right now.
Diablo 4 is coming out. It's quite a packed few months. If they bring out Starfield, I think that's the only reason why they'd be hesitant to delay it, because they wouldn't want to bring it out and compete against Starfield.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I get that. I mean, I talk about obviously things on the horizon. I mentioned Diablo 4 there. The beta was phenomenal.
I loved it.
Absolutely loved it. Loved what they've done with it. Again, it's no secret, being a D&D fan, the amount they've leaned into it this morning, and we're seeing a lot more of the classic D&D characters, the rogue, the druid, the barbarian. You know what I mean? It was great to see. What I liked about it as well is the lads I play with, traditionally you were kind of limited to the party of 4, kind of expands again. You can mix up the combinations a bit more. And it refired that love for Diablo 3, and I must admit I've smashed that recently, along with Spotted Dog and Llama. We've been hitting that hard. I'm so ready for that, but I want to see where they're going to take it after Diablo 4. What I'm praying for is we don't end up with another Diablo Immortal on our hands.
Yeah, I didn't actually get a chance to play the beta. The one time I did fire it up, it was like you're in a queue, approximate waiting time 135 minutes. So I was like, approximately waiting time 0, because I'm gonna leave the queue immediately. But what I did see from watching Junky play a little bit of it, and from watching a couple of other streamers, I was really encouraged. I love the aesthetic. I like how it's gone kind of back to Diablo 2, the darker undertones, all of that. Diablo 3 got criticised for being a little bit too rainbows and unicorns and stuff, and you know, it was.
Which is why they did the whole mixtape level of that.
Yeah, it was a bit too bright and cheery in a sense, which is a weird thing to say about Diablo, but I love the aesthetic. I like the balance they seem to have with it. Yeah, they've got some work on a couple of classes from the looks of it, but most of the classes that I saw playing on people's streams did look quite well balanced. But I think like stuff like the Necromancer will probably need some work, but the Necromancer was OP in Diablo 3 anyway. That's why I run one.
Yeah, obviously. I've got to stay with the Bard, man.
Yeah, but yeah, I was excited by what I saw of it, just didn't get a chance to play. But generally, if you played one Diablo, you played them all. You pretty much knew what you can.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like FIFA, really, isn't it? Along it's change your skins, upgrade, update the data a little bit, and away you go again.
Yeah. I'm loving the fact that you've got this open world, this shared open world, so world bosses and stuff like that. I like that idea. Although, didn't one guy solo one of the world bosses twice?
Yeah, but that guy also got in the queue at number 2 and didn't leave.
Yeah,
says a lot.
I didn't actually play that much of it. Like obviously, Traumatized said he was there when I did play it, so I jumped in, and I did what I always do with betas when it's like a part of a story or a slice of a story. I play for like an hour because I play for an hour and I pick something I'm never gonna use. So I picked the Druid class, which I probably wouldn't pick normally, and I got to the point with the first cutscene with where Lilith's introduced, and that whole I'm not gonna spoil it. Okay, for people who haven't played the beta, but that whole thing that. The town, I was like, oh, that's good. That's good. I loved it. I loved it. I was like, that's enough. That's enough for me. Turn it off. Yeah.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it for myself. Quickly, running back, one of the other big releases that came out while we were off air was a game that I was looking forward to. I know you were as well, Ewok as well. And being massive Monster Hunter fans and Capcom obviously smashing that genre. And then we finally got the latest Monster Hunter drop on Game Pass as well. Was EA's take on the Hunter genre. And we got Wild Hearts. I know.
Do you want to go with that first?
My mama said, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't. No, to be fair, I played the beta, then I went in on the 10-hour free trial. I used all my 10 hours up. It's not as bad once you get past the initial face value. And I will hold my hands up. I went in being a Monster Hunter fanboy, like, well, this doesn't feel right, and this should do this, and this should... I had to just stop, go away, get a brew, come back, clear my head, like, right, play this game like I've never played it before. Went in, and there are some cool mechanics, like the Kensai boxes and stuff, brilliant sending the weapons. However, it's clunky, very samey, very quick. Some of the enemies are just overpowered for what they are in the certain areas. And then it seems to throw it on its head. And then once you've defeated that enemy, you become massively overpowered. So then you're running through. I think there was a lot of balance that needed to get it right. It's a nice entry into that market. And it's nice to see some challenge against Monster Hunter. However, it ain't broke, so don't fix it. Leave the formula as is.
It's a shame because I obviously I never played it. I played Monster Hunter, I loved it, and then I've never gone back to it. A complete Monster Hunter World. I didn't play any of the DLCs, but I did love it when I did play it. And I saw Is it Wild Hearts?
Yeah.
I always get Wild Hearts mixed up. There was an Apple game called something Wild Hearts about cards and rhythm dancing and whatever. But no, it's not that. But
little insight there, guys, into Junky's like mobile.
I saw it and I watched the gameplay review. I watched one of the big streamers sort of play it and like review it, and I thought, oh, that's really good. That looks really cool. I mean, I'm not going to play it, but it does look really cool. Like, so it's a shame to hear you say that. I thought it'd be better received.
I played a bit of the free trial, and It felt like if you'd ordered Monster Hunter from Wish.
Yeah, wasn't quite that. What was that other one that was on Game Pass for a while, free to play? Not Guardian. Oh, there was Dauntless.
I was literally going to say, if you got 60 quid to spend on a game and you want to play something that's, you know, Monster Hunter like, but not Monster Hunter, just save your 60 quid and play Dauntless.
Wasn't
It's
Dauntless
actually a very well thought out, very good, very in depth hunting game that's free.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't Dauntless the Epic one? Isn't that when Epic was like, while we're on the roll with Fortnite, we're just emulating other games, making like cartoon versions of them.
Yeah, basically.
And they thought, we can just do it again with Monster Hunter, and it was like, it's all right.
It's actually, you know, if you didn't have the money to go out and buy Monster Hunter, it's a very good free offering into that genre. Very well thought out, quite in depth, fair range of monsters. But I just could not get into Wild Hearts at all. There was something, as you say, it felt clunky. It didn't feel right. It just felt like it was trying too much to fit in
that gap.
Yeah, trying to do something that had already been done very well by somebody else and just couldn't emulate it at all.
No. Obviously, we got Monster Hunter Rise as well, which was nice to cure the itch. And for those that hadn't played Monster Hunter World, it was a nice step into the classic Monster Hunter feel. Again, straight to Game Pass. Can't complain on that. Loving me Game Pass. Definitely worth its weight in gold. And then you got in there and it played completely different to World, which threw a lot of players off. But once you got,
to be honest,
but once you got over that, my God, what a game! It was classic Monster Hunter at its core, and then being able to ride your team around, your Palamute around as well, just instead of having to sprint around maps was just so nice. And soon found myself back in that flow of, you know, need this, I want this gear, go hunt that, you know, and I build myself up ready, right? Or I'll put this on my wish list, this on my wish list. What do I need to hunt? Plowed through the story on that and really enjoyed that. So, like I say, if you've played Monster Hunter World, get on Monster Hunter Rise.
Sweet.
So about what we've been playing though, I'm keen to know, Junky, seeing as you have picked up Lightfall, and this is the first Destiny 2 story beat that I've missed entirely as well. But I cancelled my.
I must hold it.
I'm keen to know what you think of it because I've not played a jot of it, to be fair.
Well, I mean, what did we actually get with Lightfall? Moving on. What the last thing I remember was that the Fallen and that the enemy had suddenly got the powers of light.
Yeah, so quick recap. It seems like the way they're doing it now is like they'll bring out a massive expansion and then everything will be carried forward for the seasons. So it's a good model. You're sort of locked in for the year then if you want to find out what's going on. Either that or watch My Name is Bife, whatever his name is, video. But yeah, for me, when we talked about this last time we were on the podcast, the seasons for me, I enjoy them for the first few weeks. Then it's just like I'm doing the same thing. It's like log in on Tuesday, do the same seasonal activity 3 times. Why do I have to do 3 times? If I've got 3 characters, it's do it 9 times. Why do I have to do something 9 times? And then you get like a little snippet of a story beat. It'll be like some dialogue, and then usually a season's like 10 weeks, I think. Halfway through, you might get like a tiny cutscene, or the characters might be an in-game cutscene where the characters talk to each other, and it's all right, but it didn't do much for me. So we're back to that formula again. So Lightfall, basically last season, in which Keen we sealed away Seraphine from taking the Traveler into a throne world. That's how that ended. A ghost got away, so she can be resurrected at some point in the future. Then the seasons went on to show that Callus, who is now the Witness's disciple, what else happened? He became the disciple. The War Mind died. That was the end of the seasons for last year. Then we got Lightfall. What's name woke up. Osiris, who'd been in a coma all of last year, woke up and realized he had the vision that there was another city on Neptune that no one knew about.
Just over that hill, nobody could ever be able to climb over. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Except when someone said, "How can the Vex on Neptune?" They went, "Oh, the Vex have been fighting on Neptune for years." Oh yeah, so no one knew about it except the Vex, and we never found out until now. Even though last season we spliced into the Vex network. All right, it's handy. Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah, so
So then everyone.
They grasped it.
So then everyone had to rush to Neptune quickly to stop the Witness getting this magical MacGuffin called the Veil. And then you get there, and the whole campaign is basically you learn how to use a new darkness power called Strand, which is like time dilation, strands of time. Everyone thought it was going to be poison, it's not. And that's basically the whole campaign is basically you learning to use Strand, much the same as Beyond Light was you learning how to use Stasis again. So you never actually get it until the very end. You just get it for like 2 minutes at the end of a mission to fight a boss. It's very, what's the word? Annoying. It's crap. They've even said it was crap themselves. They've even come out and said it fell short of expectations and it didn't really satisfy anyone. And we're sorry about that. We'll continue in the seasons, which is what they were always going to do anyway. It's that bad. Halfway through the bloody campaign, you and Osiris have a montage, an 80-star montage of you learning how to use Strand in a cave, like the Karate Kid.
Everybody needs a montage.
It just needed like cheesy 80s music. You like going, never forget it.
If we couldn't get like copyright strike, I'd be getting Team America World Police's montage.
So at this point, I don't even feel like I've spoiled it for anyone because that's basically the campaign. You fight Callus, you eventually get Strand, and the Witness. It turns out it was all a big ploy, and he doesn't matter. The whole campaign doesn't matter what you've done. You end up giving him the Veil anyway, and then he opens the Traveler, and then that's it. That's life. All the Travelers like now got a big giant triangle in its center that looks like a vagina.
So what you're telling me is, right when you're feeling at your lowest, Destiny come out and go, "That's another £60, please."
And I went, "This is going to be terrible." I just looked at the previews and what people were saying, like Paul Tassi from Forbes saying the space is empty, blah blah blah, and I was like, "This is going to be terrible. Cancel that pre-order right now." And then it came out and I was like, "This is terrible." IGN give it a 5 out of 10. And I was like,
does it feel like they kind of painted themselves into a bit of a corner, like trying to make the story more and more epic each time? And it feels like they're missing the beat more often than hitting it recently.
I just
think it'll all come good in the end. I think there's like what's it called, peaks and troughs. So obviously you'll have a campaign like trying to think now.
Well, Witch Queen was brilliant.
Forsaken. You'll have Forsaken, which is up there. Then you'll have Shadowkeep, which is down there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one will be up there. That it's sort of like that. Everyone is like the one before is always like building up the one after. It's like it's fluffing. It's the guy on the porn set that's getting people erect.
I thought Witch Queen was. I thought Witch Queen was the best bit of content since Taken King.
Exactly. So Lightfall is the fluffer for final shape.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna drop the serious bomb now.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Destiny, and we're talking about how it's basically shit itself at the moment. And we've got to take a big dose of reality here because, unfortunately, I'm going to say now it's going to be very, very, very hard for it to get back any sort of like traction after losing such a big character.
That's the I mean that is like a shitter. I think they always handle things like this quite sensitively. That's Bungie's strength. They know how to deal with like big issues. And I think with losing Lance, I think they'll handle that quite tastefully. And like the community will, if anything, it'll be something that it already has. It brought the community back together after Lightfall was terrible. I mean, I didn't come back to it because Lightfall was. I came back because Lightfall was cheap. But I first started up just to go and see Zavala in the tower out of respect, like everyone else. And obviously, I'm back into it now. Like, I've just trashed Lightfall, but the actual loop itself is still really fun. And like, even though the story concepts fell well short this time, the actual mechanics, they've done a really good job. Like I said, peaks and troughs. Like, one season might be like fantastic story, not much else, and then the next season it'll be like building up for the next season. But it'll be all the background work. Like, they'll supplement all the mechanics. Like, they've done a complete overhaul. Too much to go into really of the mechanics. Like, and it's actually really good. I think what got loadouts. The Tyrannosaurs out PvP, which I don't think they will manage, but you know, we live in hope. But yeah, Zavala going, Lance Reddick going. That's a big miss.
Yeah.
And
go on, sorry.
Destiny had its highest concurrent player base, whatever it is, milestone after he passed away. Like, not just the day he passed away and people coming to pay respects. People came back to the game and have stayed in the game. Like, on Steam, it's been right up there again, despite Lightfall being a steaming pile of shit.
Maybe I think it was unfortunate circumstance that's drawn people back. And like myself, a lot of people have been away for 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, 2 big DLCs away. So you kind of do want to see what's changed, you know what I mean? But I think, like you say, there was the initial thing when, obviously, spoiler alert for those that hadn't played it, we lost Cade. And that was like a big thing for everyone. But
That's
then,
good.
obviously, Reddick was just like, I still remember telling Ewok, like, I literally got on the car to go to D&D, and it was like, boys, Lance Reddick's gone.
Yeah, that
Unreal.
It's really sad news. I mean, for anyone who has played Destiny at the time, and you know, the voice of Zavala, and like such a commanding voice as well. And if you played Horizon and Zero Dawn or Forbidden West, you know, he played Silas in that. If you've not played any of those games, you'll know him from stuff like Bosch and the John Wick movies and all stuff
Fringe.
like that. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, this absolutely like incredible actor.
Thordak.
Yeah, who lends his voice to video games and his likeness to the video games as well. And for, you know, for all the reports and like, you know, the eulogies that have come in since that, it's just one hell of a guy as well.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy.
So, you know, obviously from the council to his family and his friends, you know, our condolences. He's played a part in each of our lives. We can only thank him for that. And yeah, sad time, but it was incredible to see all of the Guardians kind of getting together at the tower and people staying there for hours.
Yeah.
Just sitting at Zavala's feet. And that shows the impact that the guy had on the game, and he actually played it himself. You know, he was an avid gamer.
He was playing the night before he passed away.
Yeah.
That's how.
Unreal. It's a bit like the Wizarding World came together when we lost Robbie Coltrane. They did it in Hogwarts. Like you see, you know, people went to the studio tour and did it. It's massive, and it's when you lose a figurehead of that sort of who had that reach and engagement with the community, it is going to leave a massive hole. And like you say, there's little touching things have already come out. Bungie respectfully put little things in. I saw, you know, so many eulogies given on like TikTok and Facebook and stuff. And one of the other big things as well is I saw somebody had made an actual plaque, like in memory of Commander Zavala and that, and like they passed it to Bungie and stuff, which is awesome. And it just brings it all back to how much we can be influenced and like get connected via games and stuff like that. But it's finding the right games and communities to stay in and get connected in.
Yeah, I think as Junky says, I think Bungie will handle it. Moving forward, they will handle it with the utmost respect, and they're very good at doing it. I mean, like, I know it's a slightly different scenario, but when Nathan Fillion could no longer kind of fulfill the role of Cade, you know, they found someone who was capable of doing it without kind of there being too obvious. So Nolan North come in, didn't he, and took
Yeah. So The way I think they'll handle it is very reminiscent of how Marvel have handled Black Panther with Chadwick Boseman. I don't think they'd actually go as far as getting someone like Nolan North in to revoice him, to write him out. I think it would be something in the narrative, like maybe not a cutscene, one of these cartoon cutscenes we see at the start of a season. And it'll be something like Zavala goes face to face with the witness, and and then there'll be probably a funeral in the tower, like all honors, and they'll handle it really well. Like I said, probably the same way Marvel did it with Chadwick Boseman and Black Panther, which is probably one of the best parts of Black Panther 2. Really, was how they handled that at the beginning.
Yeah, it's sad news. It is very, very sad news, but
good guy,
very good guy, and Bungie will handle it going forward. But you talked about film there, like in Black Panther and that. And one thing we're going to be doing this time around with the council is we're not just going to be covering video games. We're going to be covering all the kind of facets of multimedia that video games kind of encompass nowadays, which includes film and TV. So I think we should spend a little bit of time now talking about one of the biggest crossovers from video game to small screen that we've had in a while.
Come on, say.
The Last of Us.
Oh my God! What a series! from the non-PlayStation fanboy who had his own experience of The Last of Us, was starting to play it and getting to within 10, 20 minutes into the main game, and then having his file corrupt, his save corrupt, and never went back to it. I know. Like, the bloater in the school is where I got to, and that was it, game over. Couldn't recover the file. I loved every minute of it. I enjoyed watching your streams as you replay through them again. My partner was watching it, and she was like, yeah, she's loving it. Oh, is it only on PlayStation? Yeah, love, we'll have to get it. But I can get it on PC at some point.
Wait a while for that, Brandon Port's terrible.
Yeah. But still, plant the seed, water it, let it grow. But no, I think it was done so cleverly, tastefully, in such a way that it was realistic, but not realistic, and a little bit like Hogwarts Legacy did. It built enough information around the world to be able to go off and do its own thing, but not take away from the core values where you could connect to it and understand what it was trying to achieve.
Yeah. I think as someone who's played the games through and had played them through recently, so they were still... I played the first one about 4 or 5 times. I loved the way they were really kind of... They held to the source material very, very well. They were really faithful to the source material. But then
that opening scene.
But then, I knew what was coming, and I was still like, I'm not ashamed, guys. I was in tears. It happens in the game. I always get choked up in the game when it happens, and I know it's coming. And then the emotion Pedro Pascal put into that.
For those that haven't seen what we're on about, go onto YouTube, type in Last of Us TV show opening comparison. Okay? Watch side by side the game and the TV show and understand how well they nailed that.
Yeah. And then there was certain episodes which weren't in the games, but they built on themes that were explicitly kind of referred to in the games. And some people liked that, some people didn't, but personally I think episode 3 was one of the best episodes that there was in that whole series. Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett in that whole episode, I was bawling at the end of it. I was crying at the end of that episode. It was so well done.
Probably one of the best pieces of TV I've seen in a long time.
Completely agree. I was the same. I was crying. There was like tears running down my cheeks. I was just like, it just felt beautiful. It felt like a true love story, and like it felt raw, and like it encapsulated everything that like The Last of Us is about. It's not about clickers and cordyceps. It's about the human stories. It's about humanity surviving, pulling through, and like obviously that whole episode is not something that can be portrayed. Like Last of Us, the game does a brilliant job of portraying like those stories, but like there's limits of what you can do in a game because it's got to have that loop, and that's where the TV took over so well.
Yeah.
Where it was able to fill in, and it was filler, but it was brilliant filler. It was beautiful. If it doesn't win like an Emmy or some kind of BAFTA or whatever, I'll be very surprised. Yeah, it was fantastic. It was absolutely breathtaking, and it was beautiful to watch and sad at the same time.
Like, Nick Offerman should be getting some sort of awards for that episode. I mean, Murray Bartlett was outstanding, but Nick Offerman was on another level. I come away from that as like, wow. And then like some of the later episodes, and what I really loved about it as well is they let Troy Baker and Ashley Williams take on roles within this.
Ashley Johnson. How dare you?
Williams. I say Ashley Williams. Ashley Johnson.
How dare you insult my future ex-wife?
Trina, you watching this? Yeah.
She knows.
I don't know why I say Ashley Johnson. Yeah, so the way they let them take on roles that were completely different, obviously, from Joel and Ellie. But Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, I applaud you both.
Can Pedro Pascal do a bad TV show?
Can Pedro Pascal do a TV show anymore where he's not adopted somebody?
Well, no.
There's that meme going around.
Game of Thrones count.
Isn't the meme going around? It's like the reports say that all TV shows by 2050 would be Pedro Pascal running around with a load of adopted kids.
Oh. No. Yes, Mando obviously back out as well.
Yeah, hats off to both of them. They were brilliant throughout. But for me as well, it was all the little touches. So everybody kind of lost their mind at the end of, I think it was episode 8, where she just escaped David and the cult of Eden, and he gives her the hug and he's like baby girl, and everyone's like, oh my word. But there was so much more to that shot. So like in that shot, like he calls her baby girl, which is what he called his daughter, but in that same shot, you see very clearly the watch that his daughter got him that is broke, and his daughter fixed it for him because he never wore it, but now he won't take it off even though it's broke. And it's all those little touches, and they put them all in, and I was just like...
And Laura Bailey is the nurse as well.
Yeah. Just phenomenal. I don't think it's set a benchmark for how video games should be switched to TV or film. I think it just set the benchmark for how a TV show should be, full stop.
Yeah, totally agree. But obviously we've got Fallout to look forward to. We've got, what else is on the horizon now? BioShock.
Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
HBO don't really make mistakes, do they? That's what we're looking at. Where else we got? Harry Potter's getting a new series.
Yeah, saw that. Yeah.
Getting rebooted. That's going to be HBO, so that should be quite good. Yeah.
So plenty in the future to look forward to. Obviously talking about things crossovers. One thing we have seen recently, big jump to the silver screen. In its last outing, it was, even for the hardcore, a questionable love. You two already know what I'm on about.
I don't, right? I'm thinking what it could be.
Okay, yeah, it's exactly what you think.
Can I roll for perception?
Yes, you can, sir. Give me an insight check. So, for those that aren't aware with the terminology, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves has recently hit the big screen, and for myself and Ewok, who are massive D&D players, DMs by day, even dirtier DMs by night. Take that how you want. I have watched it. I went with the group IDM, which is Spotty Llama, my missus, and stuff. Ewok, I know you're yet to watch, so I'll be good. I won't, no spoilers. But we were talking about this before we went live before, and it is done in such a way that if you are unfamiliar on what Dungeons and Dragons is, if your kids have only heard of it because of Stranger Things, if you've ever heard the terminology Critical Role, or you're a fan of this podcast and you know who Matt Mercer is, well then it'll tick all those boxes from A to Z. For the hardcore, there are so many little Easter eggs and nods, and the minute they mention names of places, you just end up with this Cheshire Cat smile. For those that know it's something to do with people getting around the table with little miniature figures, rolling dice, and lots of math, you can just enjoy it like you enjoy the Fast and Furious films. You just enjoy it for what it is. And it's a comedy, action-packed, tongue-in-cheek, just all-round quality film that's wide open for a second one, or they could quite easily kill it there and it'd be done, and it'd still be a hell of a lot better than the 2000 version with Whalen. But I don't even gonna go there. I don't. It's the more I think about the old one, it's just I get a shudder.
You know what? I knew we were going to talk about D&D, but for some reason, I didn't think this is what we were segueing into, because all I was thinking about when we were talking about that analogy was Bob Hoskins as Super Mario.
That. Well, hang on, I'm getting there. Don't worry. One film at a time.
What was wrong with it?
D&D came out first. Mario was 2 days later. But no, yeah, better initiative. But to be fair, I mean, I absolutely loved it. It ticked all the boxes for me. Everything I wanted it to be, it was. I didn't want it to be cheesy or complete take the piss. It wasn't, which was great to see. It had the serious moments. It had like the parts where everyone was sort of hooked in, paying attention. The cast, do you know what? Now I've watched it, I couldn't see anybody else in those roles. And that's a nice thing to say. It really is. But like it seems like there's a big thing at the moment about pop culture being back in the big screen. We saw it with gaming, and obviously like the D&D and gaming. Mario now for the kids, something for all ages. I'm yet to see it. Junky.
I've
not seen it. No. From what I have seen, though, again, it's got something in for everyone. So for those that remember the sprite from the very early days of the Wii, when it was first out, and then the Cube, he's in a cage just swinging away, and it's like, we're all gonna die. This is the worst place ever, with his smile on his face. And they're all in Cooper's Castle, and it's amazing from what I've seen. But again, it's got a bit of Smash Brothers, bit of Mario Kart, bit of traditional Mario in there, Donkey Kong's in there, and when you look at the cast, like Jack Black as Bowser.
Have you heard the Peach song?
It's eligible for an Oscar, isn't it?
It's eligible for an Oscar. It's the catchiest. Thing. It's the catchiest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like it's been stuck in my head for the past like 2 or 3 days.
I've not actually heard it yet, but I've seen an article saying that it's actually eligible for an Oscar. So I'm like, I hope Jack Black gets an Oscar for it. Really. I've not heard it. I just want Jack Black to get an Oscar. Because why not?
It's brilliant. It's simple and it's brilliant. They must have just gone, Jack, and just ad-lib a song, and he's gone, all right, sound, got on piano.
Doing what Jack Black does best.
What I did see, though, was somebody had dubbed Tenacious D's Fuck It Gently over it.
Okay, well, that's a different kind of film. Oh, no.
So I might have to listen to the original first, but no, like D&D, I'm hopefully going to watch it next week, so by the time we get to record the next episode, I'll be able to give my thoughts on it. But I think Wizards have been very, very smart and cashing in at just the right time.
Mm-hmm. especially to try and draw the attention away from all negativity that's been ongoing in the D&D world at the moment.
I've not had a chance to see it. I'd like to see it, and I've heard things about it that like it made me think that's really good. And like I'll explain now. So IGN had an interview with the directors of it, and straight away one of the first questions Matt Perslow asked, he was like, one of the people I usually play as is a character that would be quite elaborate and hard to put into D&D, into the film as like a main character. I think he was talking like, I'm not D&D au fait, so you'll have to correct me on this. There's like a dragonborn type character, and then there's a bird race.
Aarakocra, yeah.
Aarakocra, yeah. And he says that's it. He said I play as an Aarakocra, and I was hoping I'd get like an Aarakocra as like a main character. And then they talked about it, and they said, well, we didn't want the Aarakocra to be CGI, so he was like, yeah, I know. So one of the first scenes has an Aarakocra in, like apparently, and it's done with the same people that did the animatronics for things like Dark Crystal. And
it looks like Jim Henderson puppets. Both of them do.
Yeah. Apparently, it's done so well. It's nice to see a large scale film going back to that kind of like way of filming rather than like CGI this and CGI that. Much I love Marvel, like, you know, there's something about that kind of realism, and it's nice. It's nice that they've given that nod to the fans as well.
Yeah, I was going to say it is that nod. You're right. It's that. We know where we started from. We know most of our fans are 80s kids now that watched Dark Crystal, that watched all like the Jim Henderson puppets and stuff. That's when you were probably first getting into D&D. So this is like our like side nod to it, and it's actually really good to see.
But again, it's like going back to what you said earlier on. Like, you know, it's a film for the masses. You don't have to have any prior knowledge of D&D going into it, but it's also a film for D&Ders. Whereas like the 2000 version could have been any generic medieval type like fantasy drama.
Oh, horrendous.
Because
horrendous.
You know, there's no dragonborn, there's no Aarakocra in it. It's just a bunch of ragtag adventurers. It could have been any genre that's just slightly fantasy-ish. So it's nice to see that they've actually, you know, got people who actually know about D&D to make the film, and they
got the cast playing beforehand, didn't they? There's actual footage of the cast playing full games, and obviously Michelle Rodriguez, who plays Helga the Barbarian, she obviously hangs around with Vin Diesel a lot, not just because of filming reasons, but really good mate. And Vin is a huge D&D player.
Does not surprise me, considering his love.
He opened his closet once, and there's just like all his books are there, like right the way from like Thirsty, 2D Advance, right the way through. Just awesome. So. And then Joe Manganiello as well, commissioned to do not only the D&D series, but he will be directing and producing alongside his brother the 50-year anniversary documentary as well.
It's really, D&D's really kind of had a resurgence of late. I think there's been people who loved playing it for years, obviously, but I think with first of all, with Big Bang Theory, and then even more so with Stranger Things recently, it's kind of catapulted it into people's like line of sight, so to speak. And I think Wizards have been very, very smart, as I say before. They've kind of gone, now's the time. But if we're going to do it, let's do it properly.
Yeah. Totally. And I think as well, it's with the way society is these days, and obviously the likes of Dimension 20, Critical Role, you know, and all those, because it's so accessible as well. Once you open the door and through the looking glass, literally, you realize what is on the other side, the world that is, and that's it. Then it's like a black hole. Once you go in, you ain't ever coming out.
I tell you, hey, anyone watching or listening, the moment you roll your first dice, you're done. You're done. That's it.
We will get Junky playing by the end of this podcast, I promise you.
Well, like to finish off on the D&D sort of vibe, one little tidbit I did get from the interview that might interest you, big being D&Ders. They didn't directly say they were going to make a sequel, but they did say if they were to make a sequel, they'd like to take it out of the standard realm. They'd like to take it out of Faerun and into one of the other realms of D&D, which perhaps most other people would never have heard of.
No, Dritzel's territory and that, yeah.
So that's quite cool. But yeah. I haven't really watched any other films. I went to the cinema and saw Scream 6, and it was, well, as you'd imagine, a Scream film.
It was like Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's all we'll say about that.
I've not been to the cinema for a while, to be honest, but I do want to try and get to watch D&D next week.
We've got Fast 10 coming out with Jason Momoa as the bad guy this time.
I'm not interested.
We got Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Very interested.
Which looks like a return. Which looks like it might be a true return to form and the true start of Phase 4, 5, whatever we're on now.
Mm-hmm.
I did go and see Ant-Man, and I enjoyed it. I know it got slated, but I liked it. I thought it was fine.
You know, I think like James Gunn's done a really good try having tanked Guardians 3 so he can give DC a leg up.
Oh, so we got Blue Beetle's going out as well, isn't it? The first in the gun universe.
Yeah.
Bit of a weird choice. But I think that's mainly to draw comparisons with RDJ's Iron Man. They're trying to go for that similar. Started off with a lesser known character, try and make him well known. Like to do with Iron Man, try and build upon that. So see if it works.
Take some of the heat off Ezra Miller. No.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I've not been to the cinema to see a film for a while, so.
I think with Marvel, there's a bit of Marvel fatigue.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, with the TV shows, I was when Mandalorian started again, I was like, something a bit different.
Yeah,
yeah.
You mentioned not being the pictures. That the half of the reason you're not bringing the cinema is because everything's at home on demand.
Yeah. Disney
Plus, Netflix, Amazon Prime. It's all there. Touch of a button. And you're not paying your £7, well, your £5 a view at the View, your £13 a view at the Odeon, and whatever else Cineworld and all that are these days. To, you know what I mean? You've already bought your subscription. Nip down your local shop, get all your snacks in. You can rustle to your heart's content, slurp on your drink. There's nobody kicking the back of your seat.
Yeah, and
it's
and there's been plenty to watch as well. We've had the last one, as Dan says, Mandalorian. I've been watching Picard season 3. All that kind of stuff. So there's been plenty to watch as well, like on the small screen. So it's been not like we've been starved of entertainment in that.
Yeah, we got the trailer for Ahsoka.
Yeah, going through, and the Star Wars universe is
bands out the moments.
It's crazy at the moment, and they've introduced more stuff.
Star Wars Legends continuing with Daisy Ridley as Rey. Oh, that was a surprise for everyone.
Yeah, and that's going to be a trilogy of films apparently or something. I'm going to assume. I think I know the plot. There's going to be.
There we go.
There's going to be this big evil that resurfaces, and nobody quite knows where it's come from or why it's there or who's in charge. And we're not going to find that out until the last film. Basically, watch the other two trilogies. You'll kind of get it. But
I think it'll be a crossover between Ahsoka, Mandalorian. I think all these TV shows, like the Marvel TV shows, is all building up because obviously they did the last three episodes, which were just, in my opinion, just awful. Didn't enjoy them at all. First one was all right because it was just emulating A New Hope. And the other two, the second one was just I fell asleep and I woke up and it was still ongoing. And I fell asleep and I woke up and it was still going on. And I fell asleep again. And then about 10 years later, it was still ongoing. That says what you need to say about that one. Yeah. And then I didn't even bother watching the last one because it just sounded stupid.
It was basically just the first three films and second 3 films all repeated in flashier graphics and stuff, and I think it's just, if that's what the next 3 films turns out to be, I'm not interested in that. What I am interested in the Star Wars universe is all of these TV series, because They are knocking them out the park.
Yeah. Well, Mando finishes next week, so we can talk. So we can have a big spoiler cast on that next month.
Yeah. So you've been
Should have
warned.
caught up with it by then.
You've been warned if you're listening or you're watching. You got 3 weeks, 4 weeks to finish off your Mandalorian. I watched this week's episode earlier today.
I watched
I'm
it.
catching Book of Boba Fett.
Best episode of this season.
Really good. Really, really good. But yeah, like I say, all of them. Like, Obi-Wan was brilliant. Mandalorian, I don't think they've had a bad season. They might have had an off episode here and there, but in terms of like overall season, they haven't had a bad season. Then you got what, Andor, or something like that. Which we've got Book of Boba Fett. You've got Ahsoka coming up. It's
Jedi Fallen Order, which is now canonical, and apparently going to pay a plot in something down the road. So I'll be interested to see how that comes about.
Yeah, it's about time that the Star Wars franchise was being used in a new and creative way, like it has been over the last couple of years, rather than just regurgitating the same story for the big screen.
It's just nice to see a game that can like traverse the media as well. Like obviously we talked about The Last of Us, but that's like an adaptation. It's been Jedi Fallen Order and the new Jedi. Is it Survivor? Is it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Is like it's going to be one of those games that is actually part of the TV. And like in the past, we've had things that tried to blur the lines and have not really gone so well. So like Quantum Break tried to do it.
Defiance.
I was about to say Defiance, technically, because I know I react like Defiance, even though it looked terrible on both fronts, in my opinion.
Okay, so when we come back in a month's time, we will be a month closer to what should have been E3. We will touch on that once more details have been revealed as to why the hell they've cancelled it.
No one's going, but yeah, we'll look into it a bit more.
Find out potentially what could have been there. Guaranteed, though, we will now end up with a Microsoft keynote, Sony keynote, possibly, if they want to do that. We'll find out more from EA with what EAFC is going to entail now that they've dropped the FIFA tag. How badly are they going to butcher F123? I'll tell you as soon as it drops, because they seem to have butchered PGA Road to the Masters.
Oh, it's EA, isn't it? So basically, at the pit stops, you have to buy the
Get your credit card out.
Yeah.
That's it. Insert your credit card into the console, and we'll just charge you fuel mileage.
Yeah, basically.
So all that to come.
And it might get delayed about 10 times as well, because the people that are making it don't know how to use the Frostbite engine, which EA insist on them and using.
Yeah.
Well, so that looks like interesting for next month.
Yeah, because none of their own like developers have had issues with that engine before.
No. How's Battlefield treating you these days, Ewok?
Still enjoying it. It's in a better place now. It's in a much better place now.
A care home is not a better place.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. No, genuinely, I'm having fun playing it now, whereas I couldn't stand it when it came up. But yeah, it's definitely had some good treatment, but it shouldn't have needed to have been worked on so hard post-launch.
There's a question. Which version are you playing?
Series X.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Because a lot of people I know stuck with the X version, not the Series X version.
Yeah. No,
just because it felt easier to transition to. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think it definitely didn't launch in a great place, and it's in a good place now. But you can tell that people don't want to go back to it simply because of how
too little, too late.
Yeah, very much too little, too late. But yeah, guys, we've been jabbering away for like an hour and 20 minutes, something thereabouts. It's been a good little catch up, I think. I say we'll get back together in about a month's time. We'll have more news. We'll have played a few more games. And we'll have finished Mandalorian, so we'll definitely have something to. And I will hopefully have seen Dungeons and Dragons as well.
And you'll find out the real reason E3 was cancelled.
Yeah.
It might be something to do with the council dropping the bomb that we'll not have a stage presence this year.
Yeah. But, we'll go into more detail on that.
Yeah. So, which, did you get your Insomnia invites? Because I'm still waiting for mine.
Insomnia? Oh, the Insomnia Games Fest?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my invite. Didn't get it. Must have got lost in the post.
No.
Where's my Gamescom invite?
And next month when we'll come back, we'll talk about what the hell is Kick. Because right now, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube have got a new competitor in the fourth corner.
Interesting.
Yes. The whole streaming landscape is a bit of a mess at the moment, but we can go into that next time because it's going to require more than a 2-minute tidbit at the end of an episode. But yeah, I think that's probably going to be enough for us this week. This
definitely.
episode,
yeah, the poor jury's heard enough.
Yeah,
they can make their own decisions.
It has been absolutely great to get back with you guys. Been looking forward to this. But as always, for anyone who's been watching or anyone who's listening, if you've got any questions, do reach out to any of us on our socials. If you want to hear us talk about any particular gaming or gaming-related media topics, reach out to us. Let us know what they are. If you just want our opinions on the games that we've been playing, again, just get in touch. Give us a shout. Don't be afraid. We'd love to be able to kind of interact with you guys in that way. We are aiming to record an episode every 4 weeks, so once a month. So we'll probably say once a calendar month to not give ourselves too much pressure. Obviously, if there's any change to that, we'll let you know as soon as we can. But I think all that's left to say is, from myself, thank you so much for listening.
Guys, it's been great to be back. It's great to have you back. Thank you very much for lending us your ears and eyes.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. It's been great to be back. And one special note, my hair, if you're out there, I still love you. I still care about you. I think about you every day. It's not too late. The door's always open. You can come back whenever you want. Sorry about that. Cheers, guys.
If you have seen Junky's hair, please call the number that's now scrolling all over the bottom of this.
0800, catch my hair.
Junky's hair coming to a milk carton near you.
But for now, court is adjourned. Thank you for watching. Take care.
Good night.